The headline says, "Iran and Pakistan are friends." The reality is they are two desperate economies trapped in a financial cage. When the United States tightened its sanctions on Tehran, it did not isolate that nation. It forced Islamabad to choose between American aid and economic survival. This visit by President Pezeshkian is not about ideology or friendship. It is a calculated pivot designed to bypass Washington's blockade, using Chabahar as an alternative to Gwadar. We are witnessing pure realpolitik. States do not have friends, only interests that shift when the cost of isolation becomes too high. The common assumption among observers is that nations align based on shared values or long-term diplomatic friendships. This view fails completely when applied to Pakistan's sudden engagement with Tehran. The United States' strategy relies on truly strong comprehensive sanctions rather than limited diplomacy to force Iran into nuclear negotiations. While these measures successfully pressured the Islamic Republic regarding its nuclear breakout point, they also created a desperate need for alternative trade routes that do not rely on Western financial systems. Pakistan's leadership has pivoted from ideological alignment with the West toward economic pragmatism because their own economies are under siege by global financial constraints. The United States strategy relies on truly strong sanctions to force behavior change, but these measures often fail to alter Tehran's core goals or ensure regional stability. To understand this shift, we must look at the mechanics of the pressure itself. Preventive strikes have been deemed ineffective at rolling back Iran's technical understanding of centrifuge design. Covert weapons activities can continue with little fear of detection even after military action. This means economic coercion is now the primary tool used by Washington. However, when a state faces severe economic consequences from isolation, evidenced by the rial hitting record lows due to restricted foreign trade prospects caused by sanctions, they will seek any available exit strategy. The conflict has been characterized by Iran's de facto blockade of the Strait of Hormuz versus U.S. blockades on Iranian ports, a paradoxical equilibrium where maritime coercion creates a stalemate without full-scale war. In this environment, Pakistan is not suddenly becoming an Iranian ally. It is calculated that the cost of staying aligned with U.S. sanctions outweighs the risk of angering Washington. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. This brings us to the core strategic friction, the battle for control of trade corridors known as Chabahar versus Gwadar. The strategic dispute is not just about oil volumes or immediate revenue, it is a contest over which port offers an independent exit from Western financial systems. Pakistan sees Iran's port of Chabahar as the critical counterweight to China's massive investment in Gwadar, which creates dependency on Beijing rather than offering a true alternative to Washington's dominance. By deepening ties with Tehran through President Pezeshkian's visit, Islamabad secures a direct route for energy exports that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz choke point controlled by U.S. naval dominance. The stakes here are defined by what happens if this corridor becomes functional. If Iran gets gas to Pakistan, United States sanctions lose their teeth entirely. The primary strategic anxiety in Washington is not just Iran's nuclear program but an Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline. Such infrastructure would allow Iranian natural gas to flow directly into Pakistan and potentially onward to India or China, effectively circumventing the U.S.-led blockade on Iranian energy exports. This potential bypass renders the sanctions regime partially obsolete by creating a new, sanctioned-resistant trade artery that operates outside the reach of American financial leverage. The data from recent negotiations highlights how fragile these arrangements are. The United States proposes an enrichment freeze duration of 20 years, while Iran counters with single-digit years in current talks. These numbers reflect two sides operating on different time horizons and survival instincts. A 4-month conflict phase prior to the June 15 announcement tested the capabilities of both nations to maintain pressure without collapsing their own economies. The scope of these tensions now includes all fronts from Lebanon to South Asia, showing how a localized energy dispute can ripple into regional instability. Pakistan's move is a direct response to this volatility and the specific incentives driving it. By securing an energy deal with Iran, Islamabad insulates itself from future supply shocks caused by naval escalations that Washington threatens as part of its containment strategy. The recent diplomatic flurry follows a pattern where the United States uses military threats and blockades to force negotiations, while internal factions in Tehran believe they can endure pressure longer than American voters. Pakistan is playing both sides not out of confusion, but because it has emerged as a critical mediator driven less by ideological friendship and more by a desperate economic strategy to circumvent the financial siege imposed by Washington. This dynamic changes how we view every alliance in South Asia. When a state's economy is under siege, survival dictates strategy over sentiment. Pakistan will do whatever is necessary to keep its lights on and fuel flowing, even if it means defying Washington's preferred narrative for years to come. For the viewer following global markets and energy security, this explains why oil prices fluctuate based on political visits in Islamabad rather than just Tehran or Riyadh. It reveals that sanctions are a double-edged sword. They may constrain an enemy's nuclear program but also incentivize enemies to build new trade networks that permanently undermine the sanctioner's leverage. The lesson from this visit is clear and uncomfortable for those who believe in moral foreign policy. When leaders announce these deals, the headline often focuses on friendship or ideological shifts. The reality is far colder. It is a calculation of survival where states act on incentives rather than morality. As long as economic pressure remains the primary tool of statecraft, we will continue to see unexpected alliances form not out of love, but out of necessity. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.